The community was terrified, as a suspect in the crime continued to be a mystery over a month and a half after the brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students who were found stabbed to death in their outside-of-campus home in Moscow, Idaho, on November 13th. The murders shocked the college town. Welcome to True Crime. Let's get started. 4 counts of murder and 1 count of felony burglary were brought against 29-year-old Bryan Kohberger for the 2022 killings of 4 University of Idaho students. On December 30th, 2022, suspect Bryan Kohberger was taken into custody in Pennsylvania in relation to the deaths of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. This was over 7 weeks following the November 2022 killings of 4 University of Idaho students. He entered a Pennsylvania courthouse in January 2023 and willingly consented to return to the state to face the allegations against him by waiving his extradition to Idaho. On November 13th, 3 people, Mogen, 21, Kernodle, 20, and Chapin, 20, were fatally stabbed in an off-campus rental house in Moscow, Idaho. While Ethan was spending the night with his girlfriend, Kernodle, he was not a resident of the house. Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funke, 2 more roommates at 1122 King Road, were home and unharmed. All the other roommates were ruled out as suspects at the beginning of the investigation. The probable cause declaration, which was made public in January 2023 after Kohberger returned to Idaho, noted that one of the surviving roommates claimed to have seen the murderer, contrary to the initial belief that Mortensen and Funke had both slept through the attack. The roommate said that she heard crying the night of the killings and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask go past her as he fled the crime scene. The case was described as extremely complex by the local police, and it required more than 6 weeks for an arrest to be made. We assembled data from an official case affidavit, checked publicly accessible proof, and included ABC News coverage to produce a timeline that visually summarizes key incidents in this case. Let's take a look at the occurrences quickly. Xana Kernodle and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, they can walk there in roughly 5 minutes from their King Road off-campus residence. Madison and Kaylee, Xana's roommates, are at the Corner Club. It's the town's historic sports bar. The statement made public by the authorities states that they spent almost 3 hours at the bar, and Kaylee and Madison left the corner bar at around 1:30 a.m. Then they're walking about 6 minutes from the bar to a food truck that's nearby. An affidavit states that Ethan, Xana, and the other 2 housemates are prepared in the house. 2:47 a.m. police claim that in the neighboring city of Pullman, Washington, Bryan Kohberger's phone stopped connecting to the cell network. According to the authorities, a white sedan that appears to be registered to Kohberger was spotted approaching the route that links Pullman and Moscow. The distance by car between the 2 cities is barely 10 miles. Police have received security footage from the King Road neighborhood that shows a white vehicle passing by the victim's home at 3:29 in the morning. Since then, the authorities have been able to gather a huge amount of data against Bryan Kohberger. Police report that at about 4:20 a.m., they saw the white vehicle driving out of the neighborhood. Authorities claim that at 5:25 a.m., the same car was captured on 5 cameras in the Pullman neighborhood, close to the suspect's residence. And then, according to data gathered, the suspect's phone shows close to the murder scene between 9:12 and 9:21 a.m. A 911 call reveals that there was an unconscious person at the murder site, approximately 8 hours shortly after the killings. Soon later, 4 students' bodies were found by Moscow police. Police reported on November 16th that the 4 victims died from stabbings. By connecting DNA evidence from the location of the crime to an open genealogical database, the FBI was able to identify the suspect. He is brought back to Idaho on the 3rd of January, where he faces charges of 4 counts of first-degree murder and felonious burglary. His Pennsylvania extradition attorney stated in his statement that his client was anxious to be cleared. Here are some of the main aspects we know about Bryan Kohberger. While Kohberger may have been the victim of bullying, others claim he was the bully. At least one person who knew Kohberger as a child remembered him as quiet but nice, and that kids had teased him because of his size. He was pretty big, Sarah Healy, who went to Pleasant Valley, Pennsylvania, elementary, middle, and high school with Kohberger, said. But others who knew Kohberger said they had no memory of him being bullied in any way. In Pleasant Valley High School, Casey Arntz, who graduated 2 years ahead of Kohberger, claimed that although Kohberger was usually kind to her, there were occasions when he bullied her brother. In 2023, Thomas Arntz, the brother of Casey, told the New York Times that he and Kohberger's friendship ended after lighthearted ribbing and jabbing turned into mean-spirited abuse, which included Kohberger allegedly putting Thomas in a headlock. Over time, it just got so bad that I just shut down when I was around him. According to the New York Times, an unnamed college classmate of Kohberger's remembered him regularly voicing opposing opinions in lectures and engaging in contentious debates with fellow PhD candidates. Next up, Kohberger holds a master's in criminal justice and a bachelor's degree in psychology from a nearby community college in eastern Pennsylvania. He graduated from DeSales University with a master's in criminal justice in June 2022. According to Jack Bayless, who became friends with Kohberger in the 8th grade, Kohberger had a strong interest in psychology when he was a teenager. "He is super curious. Probably the most curious who you'll ever meet. Guaranteed," stated Bayless. Casey Arntz remembered Kohberger's interest in criminal justice from his high school days, but she thought that his dependency got in the way of his ambitions to get a degree in the field in college. Kohberger was a PhD candidate in criminology at Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, at the time of the killings. The university is located about 8 miles away from Moscow, Idaho, home where the 4 University of Idaho students were killed. The graduate student directory was taken down from the website of the Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology at Washington State University. A statement offering its sympathies to the victims and those who survived took its place. During a road trip, Kohberger was stopped twice before his arrest. Following his apprehension, body camera footage surfaced, revealing that Kohberger had been stopped twice in a single day while traveling cross-country along with his father via Washington to Pennsylvania. Kohberger was pulled over twice for following an oncoming car too closely while driving a white Hyundai Elantra, which was the same car that the police were looking for in relation to the case. On both times, he was released after receiving a verbal warning. The car had been taken from Kohberger's family residence upon his apprehension. At the time of the traffic stop, there was no information available on a suspect for the crimes in Idaho, to include identifying information or any specific information related to the license plate state or number of the white Hyundai Elantra, which was being reported in the media to have been seen in and around where the crime occurred, the Hancock County Sheriff's Office stated in an announcement gathered from various media outlets. Kohberger messaged one of the 3 female victims on Instagram. Authorities have not said whether the victims knew Kohberger, although Mogan, Goncalves, and Kernodle were followed on the suspect's since-deleted Instagram account, but not a single victim followed him again. Kohberger texted one of the victims on Instagram 2 weeks prior to the students' deaths. A greeting was sent to a female victim in late October from an account that officials suspect belonged to Kohberger. Several more messages were sent to her, but he never received a response. The source also mentioned that because the messages were sent to Instagram's message request inbox, it's possible that the victim never saw them. It is also reported that in the weeks preceding the killings, Kohberger went to the Moscow location of the Mad Greek restaurant, where Mogan and Kernodle were servers. He visited at least twice, according to a former employee, to get vegan pizza. However, it's unclear if either woman actually waited on Kohberger or if they actually spoke. Photos of a victim were on his phone. On his phone, Kohberger possessed pictures of one of the female victims. It's not clear if Kohberger took the pictures or if they were taken from social media. Furthermore, some items were taken out of Kohberger's parents' house after his detention was 2 knives, a Glock pistol with 3 used magazines, black gloves, black face masks, a green leafy substance that was in a plastic bag, a book, and the suspect's AT&T bill were among the items found. Documents, auto records, books, a prescription, a laptop, a cell phone, and a power cable had been gathered, according to the warrant. That brings us to the end of this video. Our thoughts and prayers go out to those involved. Be sure to be a True Crime subscriber and hit the bell icon to never miss another True Crime video. Leave a comment and a like to show your support. Until next time, stay safe, and if you have a true crime story you would love to see, please be sure to leave in the comments below. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.